My teenage daughter said she was sleeping at a friend's. She's been living with her boyfriend. Before we dive into this absolutely shocking story that will make every parent question whether they really know where their teenager is sleeping at night, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up right now. This is the kind of story that every parent of a teenager needs to hear because it shows how easily our children can deceive us about the most basic things, like where they're spending the night and who they're with. Trust me, what I discovered about my 17-year-old daughter's living situation was so unexpected and concerning that it made me realize I had been completely naive about what she was really doing with her life. They say that raising teenagers is one of the hardest challenges parents face because kids that age are naturally pushing boundaries and seeking independence while still needing guidance and protection. As parents, we try to balance giving our teens freedom with keeping them safe. And part of that balance involves trusting them when they tell us about their plans and activities. But what happens when that trust is being systematically exploited? What happens when your teenager isn't just staying out late or being rebellious, but is actually living a completely different life than the one you think you're monitoring? My name is Jennifer, and until 2 months ago, I thought my 17-year-old daughter Emma was a typical teenager who occasionally spent weekends at her best friend's house and was focused on finishing her senior year of high school. I thought the sleepovers and study sessions she talked about were normal teenage activities that showed she had good friendships and was responsible about her schoolwork. I had no idea that when Emma told me she was sleeping at her friend Madison's house, she was actually living with her 22-year-old boyfriend in his apartment across town, lying to me about her whereabouts for months. I'm 45 years old, a single mother working as a nurse in Portland, Oregon, and I've been raising Emma on my own since her father and I divorced when she was 10. Emma has always been a good student and a responsible kid, and I thought we had a close relationship built on trust and communication. She's a senior in high school with good grades and plans to attend community college next year. Emma had always been social and had several close friendships with girls from her high school. Her best friend Madison lived about 15 minutes away, and Emma would often spend Friday or Saturday nights at Madison's house, especially when they had group projects to work on or when Madison's family was hosting social events. Madison's mom is making homemade pizza tonight, Emma would tell me on Friday afternoons. Is it okay if I sleep over there and come home tomorrow afternoon? I was happy that Emma had good friendships and that Madison's family welcomed her into their home. As a single working mother, I appreciated that Emma had other positive adult influences in her life. Emma's sleepovers at Madison's house became more frequent over the past 8 months, sometimes happening twice a week instead of just occasionally on weekends. Madison and I have that big history project due Monday, Emma would explain when asking to spend Sunday night at Madison's house. Her mom said we could work late and I could just go to school from there in the morning. Emma's explanations always seemed reasonable and her grades remained good, so I didn't question her increased time at Madison's house. I also noticed that Emma seemed happier and more confident lately. She was taking more care with her appearance, buying new clothes with money from her part-time job at a local restaurant, and seemed more mature and independent. Emma seems to be really thriving this year, I mentioned to my sister during one of our phone conversations. She's more responsible and seems really focused on her future. I attributed Emma's positive changes to her growing maturity and her excitement about graduating and starting college. The first thing that made me slightly suspicious was when I tried to reach Emma one evening while she was supposedly at Madison's house and couldn't get through to her. I had received a call from Emma's work asking why she hadn't shown up for her shift, and I needed to find out if she was sick or if there had been some miscommunication about her schedule. I called Emma's cell phone several times, but it went straight to voicemail. I then called Madison's house to ask if Emma was available to talk. "Hi, Mrs. Rodriguez," Madison answered when I called. "Emma's not here tonight. I think she said she was staying home to study." I was confused because Emma had specifically told me she was going to Madison's house to work on a school project. When Emma came home the next afternoon, I asked her about the miscommunication. "Oh," Emma said, seeming slightly nervous. "Plans changed at the last minute. Madison's family had something come up, so I just stayed home and studied in my room." Emma's explanation was plausible, but I was puzzled about why she hadn't answered her phone if she had been home studying. "I had my phone on silent," she said when I asked. "I was really focused on my homework." The second red flag came when I ran into Madison's mother at the grocery store and mentioned how much I appreciated Madison and Emma's friendship. "They spend so much time together working on school projects," I said to Mrs. Patterson. "Emma's been sleeping over at your house a lot lately." Mrs. Patterson looked confused and said, "Actually, Emma hasn't been to our house in several weeks. Madison has been wondering why why Emma seems so busy lately. I felt a cold shock of realization. If Emma wasn't spending her nights at Madison's house, or had she been sleeping? That evening, I confronted Emma about my conversation with Madison's mother. Emma, I said, I talked to Mrs. Patterson today, and she said you haven't been to their house recently. Where have you been staying when you tell me you're sleeping at Madison's? Emma looked panicked for a moment before attempting to explain. I've been staying at other friends' houses too, she said. Sometimes I study with Jessica or Ashley instead of Madison. When I asked for the names and contact information for these other friends, Emma became defensive and accused me of not trusting her. Why are you questioning me like this? She asked angrily. I'm almost 18, and I should be able to choose where I spend my time. Emma's defensive reaction made me more suspicious rather than reassured, and I decided I needed to investigate further. The third red flag came when I noticed that Emma's behavior and routine had changed in ways that suggested she wasn't really staying at friends' houses for study sessions. Emma would often come home on Saturday afternoons wearing different clothes than she had left in, and she always seemed to have done laundry somewhere other than our house. She also seemed to know details about adult responsibilities and household management that seemed unusual for someone who was supposedly just sleeping at friends' houses occasionally. I picked up some groceries on the way home, Emma said one Saturday, bringing in bags of food that included items we didn't normally buy. When I asked why she had gone grocery shopping, Emma said, I was helping Jessica's family with their shopping since I was staying there. But the groceries Emma brought home seemed like items that someone would buy for their own household rather than as a favor for friends. The fourth and most concerning change was in Emma's relationship with me and her attitude toward our family rules and household expectations. Emma became increasingly argumentative about curfews, household chores, and family obligations. She seemed to view our home as a place she visited rather than where she lived. I don't understand why I have to follow all these rules, Emma said when I asked her to help with household chores. I'm practically an adult, and I should be able to make my own decisions about how I spend my time. Emma's attitude suggested that she was comparing our household rules to some other living situation where she had more freedom and fewer responsibilities. The situation came to a head 6 weeks ago when I decided to do some investigation to find out where Emma was really spending her nights. On a Friday evening, when Emma told me she was going to sleep at Ashley's house to work on a group project, I decided to follow her to see where she actually went. I waited until Emma left our house and drove behind her at a distance to see where she was really going. Instead of driving toward any of the neighborhoods where her school friends lived, Emma drove to an apartment complex on the other side of town that I didn't recognize. I watched from my car as Emma parked and walked up to a specific apartment, using her own key to enter the unit. Emma clearly had regular access to this apartment and was comfortable entering as if she lived there. I waited for over an hour to see if Emma would come back out, but it became clear that she was staying for the night. The next morning, I was waiting for Emma when she came home. Emma, I said, we need to talk about where you really spent last night. Emma immediately looked guilty and nervous. I followed you last night, I continued. You didn't go to Ashley's house. You went to an apartment complex and used your own key to enter someone's apartment. Emma broke down and admitted that she had been lying about her sleepovers for months. I've been staying with my boyfriend, she confessed through tears. What boyfriend? I asked, shocked. Emma had never mentioned having a boyfriend, let alone one serious enough that she would be spending nights at his place. Emma admitted that she had been in a relationship with a guy named Tyler for over 8 months, and that she had been staying at his apartment several nights each week. Why didn't you tell me about Tyler? I asked. Emma said she was afraid I wouldn't approve of their relationship and would try to prevent her from seeing him. How old is Tyler? I asked, dreading the answer. He's 22, Emma said quietly. I felt sick to my stomach. My 17-year-old daughter had been secretly living with a 22-year-old man for months, lying to me about her whereabouts and essentially maintaining a second residence that I knew nothing about. How did you meet Tyler? I asked. Emma explained that Tyler was a regular customer at the restaurant where she worked and that they had started talking during her shifts. The 22-year-old man had been pursuing a relationship with my teenage daughter at her workplace, and she had been hiding this relationship from me for the better part of a year. What exactly is your living arrangement with Tyler? I asked, needing to understand the full scope of the situation. Emma admitted that she kept clothes and personal belongings at Tyler's apartment and that she had been staying there 4 or 5 nights each week for the past several months. We're basically living together, she said. Tyler said I could move in with him permanently when I turn 18. My 17-year-old daughter had been living with an adult man without my knowledge or consent, and they had been making plans for her to move in with him permanently as soon as she reached legal adulthood. If you're feeling as shocked and concerned as I was when I learned about Emma's secret living arrangement, you need to hit that subscribe button right now, because this story gets even more complicated when I found out what Tyler had been telling Emma about her future and what kind of influence he had been having on her decisions. What I discovered about their relationship and his intentions will make you realize that some adults prey on teenagers by offering them the independence and freedom that parents can't provide. Ring that notification bell tell, because you won't believe how I handled this situation and what happened when I confronted Tyler directly. Over the next several days, Emma provided more details about her relationship with Tyler and their living arrangement that made me increasingly concerned about the situation. Emma revealed that Tyler had been encouraging her to spend more time at his apartment and less time at home, suggesting that I was being too controlling and that she deserved more freedom as someone who was nearly 18. Tyler says that most parents would let their 17-year-old make their own decisions about where they sleep. Emma told me, he thinks you're being overprotective. Tyler had been undermining my parental authority and encouraging Emma to view my concerns about her safety and well-being as unreasonable restrictions on her independence. Emma also admitted that Tyler had been discouraging her from her college plans, suggesting that she should focus on working full-time and moving in with him instead of continuing her education. Tyler says college is a waste of money and that I could make more money working in restaurants and eventually managing one. Emma said, a 22-year-old man was actively discouraging my teenage daughter from pursuing higher education and encouraging her to make decisions that would limit her future opportunities. The most concerning revelation was that Tyler had been providing Emma with alcohol and had been pressuring her to engage in adult activities she wasn't ready for. Tyler's friends are all adults, Emma explained, and when we hang out with them, everyone drinks and I feel left out if I don't. Tyler was exposing my underage daughter to alcohol and adult social situations that were inappropriate for her age and development level. I demanded to meet Tyler and have a conversation about his relationship with Emma and his influence on her decisions. Emma was reluctant to arrange this meeting, claiming that Tyler was nervous about meeting me because he was afraid I would be judgmental about their age difference. Tyler's a really good guy, Emma insisted. He loves me and takes care of me. He's just worried that you won't give him a fair chance. But Tyler's reluctance to meet me suggested that he knew his relationship with Emma was inappropriate and that he was avoiding accountability for his actions. I told Emma that she was not allowed to stay at Tyler's apartment anymore and that she needed to end the relationship immediately. Emma became angry and accused me of ruining her happiness and trying to control her life. I love Tyler and he loves me, she said. You can't stop me from being with him. Emma threatened to move in with Tyler permanently and cut off contact with me if I continued to oppose their relationship. I'll be 18 in 6 months, she said, and I can do whatever I want, and you won't be able to stop me. Tyler had been encouraging Emma to view our parent-child relationship as something she should escape from rather than something that provided her with support and guidance. I realized that I needed professional help to handle this situation, so I contacted a family counselor who specialized in teenage relationships and risky behavior. The counselor explained that Emma's situation was unfortunately common and that older men often target teenage girls by offering them the adult freedom and independence that parents can't appropriately provide. Tyler is likely using Emma's desire for independence to manipulate her into a relationship that serves his needs rather than her best interests, the counselor explained. The counselor recommended that I contact Tyler directly to make it clear that his relationship with Emma was inappropriate and that I expected him to end it immediately. I decided to visit Tyler's apartment to have a face-to-face conversation about his relationship with my daughter. When I arrived at Tyler's apartment, he was obviously uncomfortable and defensive about my presence. Mrs. Rodriguez, he said nervously, Emma told me you might be upset about our relationship. I'm not upset, I replied. I'm concerned that a 22-year-old man is pursuing a relationship with my teenage daughter and encouraging her to lie to me about where she's staying. Tyler tried to justify their relationship by claiming that he loved Emma, and that age was just a number when two people had a genuine connection. Emma and I have a really mature relationship, he said. She's more mature than most girls my age, and we understand each other. But Tyler's justifications were exactly the kind of manipulation tactics that older men use to rationalize inappropriate relationships with younger partners. I explained to Tyler that Emma was still a minor and that I expected him to end their relationship and stop encouraging her to lie to me about her whereabouts. Emma is my daughter, and I'm responsible for her safety and well-being, I told Tyler. Your relationship with her is inappropriate, and I want it to stop. Tyler became defensive and claimed that he couldn't control Emma's feelings or decisions about their relationship. If Emma wants to be with me, that's her choice, he said. I'm not forcing her to do anything. But Tyler had been actively encouraging Emma to defy my authority and had been providing her with alcohol and adult experiences that were inappropriate for her age. I made it clear to Tyler that if he continued to pursue a relationship with Emma, it would involve law enforcement and explore legal options to protect my daughter. Tyler seemed surprised that I was willing to take legal action, suggesting that he had assumed I would eventually accept their relationship. When I returned home, I had a serious conversation with Emma about the reality of her relationship with Tyler and the concerns that the family counselor and I had about his influence on her life. Emma, I said, Tyler is not in love with you. He's taking advantage of your desire for independence to manipulate you into a relationship that benefits him more than it benefits you. I explained that healthy adult relationships relationships are built on equality and mutual respect, not on one partner undermining the other's family relationships and discouraging their educational goals. Emma was initially resistant to accepting my perspective, but over several weeks of counseling and honest conversations, she began to recognize the problematic aspects of her relationship with Tyler. "I thought Tyler was treating me like an adult," Emma said during one of our conversations, "but I realize now that he was actually treating me like someone he could control." Emma gradually understood that Tyler's encouragement of her lies and defiance wasn't about supporting her independence. It was about isolating her from her support system so that she would be more dependent on him. With the help of our family counselor, Emma ended her relationship with Tyler and returned to living at home full-time. Tyler was not happy about Emma's decision and tried to contact her multiple times, but Emma realized that his persistence was another sign of his controlling behavior rather than evidence of genuine love. 6 months later, Emma is back on track with her senior year of high school and her college plans. She's rebuilt trust with me gradually by being honest about her activities and whereabouts. Emma has also developed a better understanding of healthy relationship dynamics and the difference between genuine independence and being manipulated by someone who claims to offer freedom. "I thought I was being mature by living with Tyler," Emma told me recently, "but I realize now that I was actually avoiding the real work of growing up and learning to be responsible." The experience taught both Emma and me important lessons about communication, trust, and the vulnerability of teenagers to manipulation by older partners. I learned that I needed to be more involved in Emma's social life and more aware of the adult influences she was encountering at work and in her social activities. Emma learned that real independence comes from developing good judgment and life skills, not from escaping parental guidance and supervision. We also learned that open communication about relationships and decision-making is essential for maintaining trust and ensuring that teenagers have the support they need to make good choices. Sometimes people ask me if I regret confronting Emma about her lies and forcing her to end her relationship with Tyler, since it caused conflict and tension in our relationship. The answer is absolutely not. Emma was being manipulated by an older man who was undermining her family relationships, discouraging her educational goals, and exposing her to inappropriate adult situations. Tyler was not offering Emma genuine love or support. He was taking advantage of her teenage desire for independence to serve his own needs. As Emma's parent, it was my responsibility to protect her from exploitation, even when she didn't understand that she needed protection. The temporary conflict with Emma was worth preventing her from making decisions that could have limited her future opportunities and put her in potentially dangerous situations. Emma is now thriving as a high school senior with clear college goals and a healthy understanding of appropriate relationship dynamics. She has the real independence that comes from good judgment and life skills, rather than the false independence that Tyler offered through manipulation and isolation. Our relationship is stronger now because it's built on honest communication and mutual respect rather than the secrecy and deception that characterized Emma's relationship with Tyler. The experience reminded me that protecting our teenagers sometimes requires making difficult decisions that they don't initially understand or appreciate. But our job as parents is to guide our children toward healthy independence, not to allow them to be exploited by adults who take advantage of their inexperience and desire for freedom. Emma's story could have had a much worse outcome if I hadn't discovered her secret living arrangement and intervened to protect her from an inappropriate relationship. Trust between parents and teenagers must be balanced with appropriate supervision and guidance to ensure that young people have the support they need to make good decisions about their relationships and their futures.